Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Todd Ronan from Reality Forecast and at Reality Forecast on YouTube, and I'm joined with Liz Cross and a famous Dutch painter, Vincent van Gogh. Liz, how are you today?
Very well, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Vincent. Oh, wow. Are we just privileged or what? This was a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, so welcome, Mr. Van Gogh. It's great to have you here, and you are prolific in your artistry. I guess we can start by identifying you've had a lot of problems in life. Why did you choose that difficult life journey?
Well, severely mentally ill. Okay. I'm getting that very strongly. And that was part of the struggle. What do you mean that was part of the struggle? It was the struggle to make him great. Without the mental illness, he would not have been a fabulous artist. It was like that mental illness was the strong driving force behind it. Because in order, when people are suffering from mental health issues, what are they looking for? They're looking for an outlet. Now, a lot of times people run into addictions and unhealthy coping mechanism. I do feel like he was a heavy drinker. Okay, that was part of his coping mechanism. But the other part of the coping mechanism is the fact that he is such a great artist. He had a very troubled childhood, by the way.
So his mental illness, was it a product of his environment, or was it a product of his upbringing, or a product of eating bread with ergot contamination during his life?
Contamination. What is ergot contamination? Because I just got a
There
yes
was
on
a
that.
fungus on the bread, and some people speculate that his madness was driven by just pounding coffee and eating bread all the time.
Was that part of it? Well, they were poor. Did you have ergot? Yes. That is correct. Was it so he was already genetically predisposed to this mental illness? But yes, that was a large contributing factor. He was also treated very badly in childhood. His father, or a male figure, was terrible to him, very cruel, would make fun of him. I feel like he had some learning difficulties as well. And he was, bullied by his father, or this male figure. It was his father. Okay, he's just corrected me. I said, yes, it was my father. But all of this made him retreat inwardly and create these beautiful works of art for all of us to enjoy.
He was poor and penniless during life. And how does he feel now, seeing like some of his work sell for tens of millions of dollars when he couldn't sell anything in life?
Yeah, this is good because he's already reincarnated. And I'm saying, but he left again. When you reincarnated in this life, back into the new lifetime, did you hear of your past self? Yes. And he really loved his artwork, right? Did you ever own any of it? No, but he always wanted to. So he, even when he reincarnated in this lifetime as a female, was an artist in this lifetime, a very troubled artist, committed suicide. Again, this is a repeat pattern, as we're finding out, as this young female, this struggling artist. What year was that? Around in the was it in the 80s? Around the 80s, the 1980s. This reincarnated version of Van Gogh came in and committed suicide. This is a problem. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Who can remember? Does he feel like his artwork, how does he feel about his artwork selling for tens of millions of dollars now?
It's incredible, but he'll never profit from it. It's now profiting, other people are profiting off of his talent. He never saw hardly any money for it. Very, very little money, only enough to buy food and alcohol. Big time drinker, big time. Food and alcohol, and to really exist. Were you okay? So part of the mental illness with Van Gogh is that he was a closet homosexual in that lifetime, and that tormented him, right? Because he obviously fell in love with other painters, but could never say that he was a homosexual, always had to play straight. It was like his soul was tortured. He had a lot of different things going on here. Now, that was another contributing factor to this very severe mental illness.
There is a book out that says that Van Gogh did not kill himself, that he was actually the victim of some kid shooting a gun in the hotel that he was in. And so, did he pull the trigger to kill himself, or was he shot and just said, okay, that's fine too?
Oh, wow. I didn't even know about that. Did you commit suicide? He committed suicide. He committed suicide. But prior to his death, okay, instead of him having to commit suicide himself, he was trying to pay someone to do the job for him, but that never worked out. They ran off with the money. So he had to do it himself. He was deeply tortured. And that was because of this, homosexual, he just couldn't, obviously he couldn't live the way he wanted to live back then. People didn't have those rights, which is unfortunate because it drove him to suicide. It drove him completely mad that he wasn't allowed to be who he wanted to be.
And so how did he just go ahead and liquor himself up and take a lot of drugs before he tried to kill himself?
Did you take a look? He didn't. No, I don't feel like drugs. Alcohol, yes. Do you regret? He deeply regrets committing suicide. He should have just said, I'm going to live the way that I want to live. But because he was this artist, he was constantly trying to get his artwork out there. Part of his failing was the fact that he was an alcoholic. He obviously had these mental health issues. And so they were the drawings of a madman, right? Nobody wanted anything to do with him. So the fact that they become, very expensive and revered after his death, well, that's because they didn't really associate this madman, the drawings of a madman, the paintings of this raving lunatic, right? With, you can draw your own conclusions about him from the painting, right? We didn't have all this mass information, obviously, but when he was trying to flog his work, it's just another lunatic. Nobody wanted to really buy it. They didn't see value in that. But if you didn't know the man and you're looking at his paintings and you're like, wow, this is magnificent, he's so talented, so you don't draw in that madness component to his work. Now we do, and now we appreciate it even more. But that, you have to think about the time period that we're living in, where we have a lot more acceptance of mental health issues. If you think about anybody that's been in a busy city, right? Paris, London, New York, you see very destitute artists, magnificent artists on the street. But you look at them like, on the outset, it's just, they're they're homeless or they're destitute or they're alcohol, they're obviously drug addicts and mental
Right.
health. They do the most beautiful renderings and an artwork. But you see, it's the same philosophy. People can't look past the person and into the art. Now I can do that, and I will purchase art from them. But a lot of times people, they have a natural reaction to retreat in the other direction when they see somebody like this. They don't have the time or the courage to negotiate a deal with buying their artwork. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So as a luminary in the art field and being on a pedestal, I would like to ask Vincent van Gogh what he would like to tell artists in that situation that he can help. How can he help them get through that? What advice would he give to them?
You have to believe in yourself, and that's the best advice you can possibly be given. If you don't believe in yourself, how would you expect anybody else to? And that goes across in any sort of talented aspect of your life, whether you're a musician, you're creating things or making things or writing or singing or whatever your talent is. You have to believe in yourself if you want others to believe in you as well.
And has he incarnated in his own family? You had like 5 or 6 brothers and sisters, or does he incarnate in a different line in a different place?
That's a good question. No, he went into a completely new soul family as a female. Which country were you back in France? No, were you in Europe? Yes, he was in Europe. Were you in the I feel like well, so he didn't reincarnate in France. He was back in the Netherlands again. So, but as a tortured female artist.
Who was he before he came into this life as Vincent van Gogh
Ooh,
in that incarnation?
He was his mother. So, oftentimes we swap roles, right? Sometimes we are our parents and there are children. Sometimes we're siblings. Sometimes we're wives, husbands, whatever it is, partners. He was his mother in a previous lifetime, and she was the child. And again, extremely troubled, had a problem with alcohol, raised a lot of children. Anybody who's been raised by an alcoholic, what a difficult existence that is. It's not good at all. And so therefore it brought on these generational issues. Now, when he was a child, because of his homosexual tendencies, he always felt very different. His father picked up on that and would really, and also his learning difficulties, and was very cruel to him, very, very cruel. So the only thing he could do is to draw.
An amazing artist. Why Can I ask him why he cut off his ear? Was that a madness problem that he had?
Ooh, why did you cut off your ear? Because to make himself feel better, right? And that's across the board with people. I don't know how much you have looked into like people who cut themselves. I've actually done CTT sessions for people that have, children or other people that do that. And it's to release the pain, right? You believe there's so much pain within you that you believe by cutting or taking a body part off or something like that, that you're releasing the pain. It's going to make you feel better, but it actually just makes you feel much worse. So then you keep doing it and doing it and doing it in order to release this extreme emotional turmoil that is within you. And I know, a lot of times no amount of counseling can really bring you out of that. I've had people in the CTT that have had 20 years of counseling, and then they're no better off than what they were, because they never found the root cause of their behavior. But with him, the root cause of his behavior is the fact that he wasn't allowed to be who he wanted to be. So on paper, that's when he was allowed to be. Now, did you ever have, I have to ask this question because this came through. Did you ever draw men in like relationships? So I do feel there's a lot of lost artwork out there of Van Gogh. And I'm sorry for you Americans listening, the correct pronunciation is Van Gogh, right? I know that the American version is Van Gogh. That's actually incorrect, but whatever. There are a lot of lost artwork of him out there, that where he drew men in these relationships, right? And these very happy sort of relationships, but he always had to hide that. And they were often thrown in the trash because he couldn't have anyone see that about himself. So that, you never know. You never know. Are they still out there? Yes, they're still out there. Where are they? Are they in? They're in the Netherlands. So these drawings are still out there somewhere. I feel like they're in people's homes, collector's items, but they don't know that they belong to him. Although the style is very similar.
Yeah, we're showing a lot of his earlier art that's not as well known as some of his more famous paintings. I thought people would be appreciative of seeing that. What advice does he have for people that are suffering from suicidal tendencies, and having suffered from that and expired from that? What can he tell those folks?
Well, it's not even worth doing it. You have to seek help. Now, in this day and age that we're living in, help is available. Back then, help was not available at all.
What is he most proud of, and his greatest accomplishment in his life as Vincent van Gogh?
What are you most proud of? How he's become a legacy. Never in a million years, when he was on the earth plane, did he think that he was going to be as known as he is now. And that warms he just touched his heart. He said, that warms my heart. That's so special to me. Although he didn't get to feel the benefit, but he likes that he touches so many people's lives through his paintings, through his drawings, that it's like a place that you can just get lost in. And that's what he was saying. Like that's how he perceived his artwork. It was a place for him to get lost in, to find peace, just to set the scene. And he was sitting in that scene, and it was just this place of, where all of his problems were cast aside at that moment. And he wished that he could stay in that place forever. And the only way to stay in that place forever was to obviously paint it, draw it, but he did it in the way that he saw it, how it made him feel. And the waves and the beauty, it's just all the problems were wiped away. He didn't have to think about this fight to be who he was. And the fact that he had to hide who he was. So he just wanted to stay in these places forever. That's why he drew them.
That's how I feel when I look at them. It just maintains a sense of stillness. And I think that's really important in today's society, where we sit and feel ourselves in that moment and create that memory of that moment, because there are so many like pictures that we scroll through in our daily lives that we don't think to engage and sit with.
Well,
and so thank you.
And that deep appreciation if you think about the fact that, and they're going to become even more valuable because with the AI tools now, anybody can just punch in what they want to see and then a computer creates it for them.
I
So
did want
the
to ask him about that. How does he feel about
yes.
AI creating mid journeys of his work?
What do you think about it's a sacrilege, he says. It's terrible. People will not be able to find solace and comfort in creating their own images. These images are not of their own creation. It's about putting your emotions in while you're painting and creating, right? So if you think about what he's showing me is like drawing the trees and the landscapes and even the houses, he would actually picture himself living in that house, and how would it feel to live in that house, and so that's completely, the AI is completely devoid of any emotional attachment. And as
It's
we're going in,
soulless, right?
yeah, it is. And as we're going into the AI art, right, he's telling me there's going to be a complete disconnect. Now, it's only going to make his work more valuable. And he's like, in his own words, right, he says the AI stuff is trash, trash, trash. He said it deserves to be thrown away. And, I'm saying, but when you come back and you reincarnate, you will be another artist, yes, but he will always be a painter. And and then he's going to be fighting against the AI because he's saying people won't really want to own art. They won't see the value of art like how we see it now.
They will cheapen it. It'll be one dimensional as AI art because you don't feel the soul of the artist that they're trying to put in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the eco warriors attack? See that he says that's terrible. There's the eco warriors that are going around throwing, oil and throwing things on these works of art. And I feel like one of his paintings too, he's saying too, have been affected by this, but they managed to salvage it. But it's disgusting. He's saying we were poor, starving artists with everything pitted against us. So why they are choosing to attack artwork just for the cause is beyond him. He says, we were once in their shoes. And he says that artists often are trying to portray a message in their artwork. And the fact that these people are just so ignorant and they're trying to destroy the message. I mean, the deeper message of his artwork is, I was suffering so badly on the inside that I had to create another world for me to exist in. And that was my art.
I can see all like the Starry Night when I look at these sketches, and I can see his emotion and I can see the feeling that he put into them. And I feel like a connection to that artist. And I don't feel like that when I look at AI art. I just think, interesting, but it doesn't have the same draw to your heart.
No, not at all. Not on any level. No. You're right.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much, Vincent Van Gogh. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate your time in the afterlife, and it's been a struggle for you. And thank you for sharing your journey. I hope it's inspiring to other people who are feeling like they can't be true to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. We have such we have so many rights in this country. And I think what people don't realize, or maybe they're not worldly enough, is those rights, that Van Gogh suffered with, that still goes on around the world. And instead of us focusing so much on the rights here, he would like to see more focus on homosexuality, LGBTQ community around the world, in those places that they're not freely to be who they want to be. So that is his final message to us on this video, and I think that's very important. I couldn't agree more. I think that we're too focused on our own home issues when people that are homosexuals, LGBTQ, are like literally burned at the stake in other countries.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you very much, Vincent. It's been a pleasure.
Great, this was fabulous.